Spartan Kid Outdoors family, what is going on? Today we are coming back at you guys with another reel comparison. You guys seem to like the other reel comparison that I did, so we're back at it again with another one, except this time we're doing two different reels. We are doing the 13 Fishing Inception, and we are doing the KastKing Royal Legend. So let's jump right into it. I am simply going to pull up the specs on each reel and compare the one to the other, and actually my own personal likes and dislikes about each reel. So let's jump into this reel comparison. Alright guys, here we are. We have ourselves the 13th Fishing Inception and the KastKing Royal Legend. Now, right off the get, as you guys can see, there is a little bit of accessories that I've added to my 13th Fishing Inception. With the 13th Fishing, the one cool thing that you can do is you can buy parts for it to customize it to your liking. I think the flat gray looks super awesome with the purple, so I got purple handle screws and a purple handle bolt. And I also did the tensioning knob here in the purple and black. And I think that just makes it look pretty sleek and cool. The next thing I want to do to this thing is this line guide. I want to switch to that purple as well. So that's one thing that I really like about this Inception, is that you can actually customize this reel to look any way you want. As with the KastKing Royal Legend, you are actually kind of stuck with the chrome and the black and red that comes with it. And I'm actually sure you can probably switch the tensioning knobs and a couple of other things with it to customize this too, but they actually do not have the option to customize like you do with the Inception. But that's neither here nor there. That doesn't do anything with the performance of the reel. It just kind of makes it look a little bit more cool. As I've pointed out before, I do like the oversized handles on these things. They both have oversized handles, but actually this one, the 13th Fishing Inception, actually has a slightly thicker foam handle, which I am a fan of. This one does have a good size foam handle to it, but it's not quite as big as the 13th Fishing, and they both do have the logos for each individual one on the reel handle itself, which is a kind of cool feature that both of them have. Now, both of the handles are made out of foam, which is okay. I actually think it's fairly comfortable. The nice thing about this one is with the 13 Fishing, you can buy all kinds of upgrades. You can actually buy the cork handles, which is probably what I'm going to be doing next for this one. Aside from the line guide, is I do like the way the cork looks, and I think it'll be a nice accent to this purple and the flat gray. This one also, the KastKing Royal Legend, has a cork, the foam handles. I don't know that you can purchase any additional cork handles for this one to replace it, but I do know I can probably switch these handles with my Spartacus Plus. Now guys, let's talk price really quick before we get into it. The KastKing Royal Legend is retailing for $39.98. This 13th Fishing Inception retails for $119.99. This reel is significantly more than the KastKing Royal Legend. So if you are looking to buy a less expensive reel, this might be the choice for you, aside from this $120 reel. Now, the other thing that I like, and this is more of a personal preference, you guys might be similar, you guys might be different than I am. I do like a lower profile reel. I think they just feel better in the hand when you're gripping it, when you're setting the hook. I just feel like you have more control when it's a lower profile reel because you can handle it better. The 13's Fishing Inception is actually it's a fairly good low profile reel. It's definitely smaller. You can fit your hand on it and grip it really well. The KastKing Royal Legend is slightly bigger, but not by much. I can still fit my hand around it fairly well. and get good leverage and control over it, but it is a little bit bulkier than the 13 Fishing Inception. Not by much, but enough where you can notice that it's a little bit bulkier, but it's not ridiculously bigger. I mean, I can still fit my hand around that one, and I still fit my hand around this one. It's just slightly bigger, and more so, not across, but the width of the little hump that they have here is just slightly bigger here. And I think that has to do with actually having an external braking system here, and this one does not. Now, speaking on external braking systems, the KastKing Royal Legend does have an external braking system. It has an up to 9 dial. I want to call it 10 because it has 9 and then max. It does have an external braking system. The 13's Fishing Inception does not. Now let's get into what they have on the inside for braking. So since we have this one on hand, let's get right into it. There is a little notch here so that you can pull off the face, excuse me, that exposes the internal brake that this has. It is a dial, and it goes from 0, all the way until 6, and you can adjust it as preferred. Now, it's not as convenient as having one on the outside, but it's not super inconvenient to just simply flip that lever, pull it off, set your brake, and put it back on. It's not a huge hiccup in the process. Now let's get into the KastKing Royal Legend. You do have this external brake. You don't have to pop the face off of this in order to get to the external brake. You can simply adjust this as you go. Now, the KastKing Royal Legend does have an internal brake, and to access the internal brake, it's just this little lever here. You pull down, you twist, and the face of this thing should come right off. Oh, pulled this spool out there. The face of this should come right off, and to access your internal brake, it's just these 4 little dials here. I always like to keep my brakes all the way on my internal braking system. It just helps me tune the reel better. I always have all 4 on. So the nice thing about this KastKing Royal Legend is you do have 2 braking systems, and for you beginner bait caster users, this might make it a little bit easier to start getting used to using a bait caster, is having that internal brake. You can pull the spools completely out on both of these reels. And let's see that here. Let's pull that face off. You can pull the spool completely out. This one's loaded with braid, so it's a little packed in there. And you can get in there fairly easily to clean your reels and maintenance it and re-grease and so forth. Let's get into the internals on the Royal Legend a little bit here. This is a 7:0:1 gear ratio reel. There is no option to get it in any variance of the gear ratio. There is the White Max, that is a 5:3:1. That is very similar to the Royal Legend, but you can't actually get the Royal Legend itself in any other gear ratio. I do think a 7:0:1 is actually a pretty versatile gear ratio that you can use for a lot of different techniques for bass fishing. You can use crankbaits on this one and just slow down the retrieve. You can use chatterbaits. I like to use this for my Texas rigs and my jigs because it is a little bit faster of a reel, and when you're pitching into cover and you got a bad cast, you can reel it in fairly quick and get it back out there. The other thing that I like about this KastKing Royal Legend is the drag system. The drag system works on 4 carbon fiber plates, 17.5 pounds of drag. So I've actually caught one big girl on this one, and the drag held up pretty good. She actually pulled me around. If you guys have seen the video of my pre-spawn, my bed bass fishing, I caught a 4-pounder on it, and it held up really, really well, actually. The spool on this guy is an aluminum spool. This guy also has 11+1 ball bearings in here. It does have a super, super smooth retrieve. It's very smooth as you're reeling in. when you catch those big girls, it reels them in with no problem. Now, ball bearings are huge when it comes to casting. Usually I have a 1/4 ounce or so on this thing when I'm Texas rigging it. I have a 1/4 ounce weight down to my 2 to 3 aught hook, depending on what I'm throwing, and like a baby brush hog or a brush hog on there. And it seems to cast that fairly far, and that's not a ton of weight that you're throwing around with a 1/4 ounce with your hook there and then your baby brush hog. It's not a ton of weight, and it does seem to launch it. So I can actually speak for it in the sense of I have used it and I have casted with this thing, and it does cast like a dream. The reel itself is only 7.7 ounces, so that's a fairly light reel. When it's on, it gives good balance to the rod, and I know the balance has a lot more to do with the rod itself and the placement of the reel seat and so forth, but this isn't a super bulky reel, and it makes fishing with this one for long periods of time not that much of a hassle because it is a fairly light reel. Now let's actually jump into a little bit of the specs on the 13's Fishing Inception. Now with the 13's Fishing Inception, you can actually get this one in 2 different gear ratios. You can get this guy in an 8:1:1, which is what I have here because I use this for my top water, and you can get it in a 6:6:1. It would be nice if you can get it in a 7:2:1 or 7:3:1 versus just going 8:1:1 or 6:6:1, but that's no big deal because I got this one for strictly top water for frogging and so forth. That's why I have a 65-pound braid on here right now, and I do like it that it's in an 8:1:1 because that could really get these baits burning on top of the water like you need with a buzz bait. You really need to burn a buzz bait to make that thing have the most action possible. So I do like the gear ratio being an 8:1:1. Now let's get a little bit into what's inside the reel itself. So on this 13's Fishing, you do get graphite side plates. The KastKing Royal Legend is a graphite reel all the way around. This one does have graphite side plates and an aluminum frame. Let's get into the bearings. This one does have 8 bearings, 12 bearings in this guy. This one does have 8 bearings. Now this one here, the drag is 15 pounds of drag, as where the Royal Legend is 17.5. That's not a gigantic difference. I think 15 is more than enough, but if you're fishing heavy cover like I'm using with this guy, when I'm tossing frogs and so forth, it would be nice to have a little bit more drag. Even 2.5 pounds of drag, that would make a huge difference when you're actually pitching into this cover. And not to say 15 pounds of drag is not enough, it would just be nice if it had a little bit more. This reel, it comes in weighing at a whopping 6.9 ounces. This one, the KastKing Royal Legend, weighs just slightly more, coming in at that 7.4. So this is a little bit lighter. It doesn't surprise me because it is slightly lower profile than the KastKing Royal Legend. This is a little bit bulkier. It is slightly lighter, but not by much. With this one, I do like how smooth it is. It does reel really smooth. Both of them have a little bit of noise there, but that could very well just be partly because the line's just slapping around there, but there is a little bit of noise when you reel. Both reels, which is no big deal. It doesn't really matter that your reel is not the quietest reel, but sometimes it's nice to have a quiet reel. Like my KastKing Spartacus Plus is just a silent killer. Now you guys decide which reel is a better reel. Now let's give you guys a slight recap of what each one of them has. I will list them right here. Alright guys, that's going to be all she wrote for this video. I just wanted to get an in-depth review on what each reel brings, and maybe this will help you choose when you're looking for your next reel. I'm not going to tell you guys which reel I like more because I don't have a favorite out of the two. I use both of them for completely different presentations. As I said, I use the 13's Fishing Inception for my top water, and I got it in a faster gear ratio for that. And I use my KastKing Royal Legend for my Texas rigs and my jigs. So I use them for two completely different presentations. As for what's inside of the reel and which reel should be a better quality, I've listed it all out for you guys. I am going to leave that for you guys to decide. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below what you think of the two reels. Comment down below which one you like better. And let me know. Let me know which one of the two reels you would pick. And let me know let me know what your favorite reel is. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and we will catch you guys on another episode of Spartan Kid Outdoors. We will see you guys later.